What is going on, guys? It's your boy BG, and welcome to Common Sense, where common sense isn't so common. And today, I have a very special guest, my boy Andrew Burdick. Look, this guy, we've had conversations a few times, and every time we hop on the call just been always been tossed with like gems and gems and gems, and the books he read, and so many like stories that things that he said about himself just made him so much of an amazing person. But look, I'm not even going to get too deep into his introduction, because I know you guys want to know who he is and why he's on this podcast, why I placed him on this podcast. This guy's amazing, phenomenal. Dude's hella smart. I'm not going to cap. Before we really roll into it, it's going to be about self-discipline. But my guy, Andrew, please, 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 I give you the honor for you to introduce yourself. What made you the Andrew Burdick that you are today, bro?
Awesome, brother. 1000%. First off, much love, so much gratitude for you, King Braxton, just for the calls we've had in this incredible opportunity, to be on Common Sense, bro. It's an incredible name for a podcast. Because as we both know, like you said in the intro, common sense, isn't so common, bro. So, for me, like you said, my name's Andrew. I'm 20 years old, from Kansas City, Missouri. My story, is kind of a long one, right? I knew, at 15, 16 years old, that I was going to be an entrepreneur, right? I had no doubt in my mind about that. Graduated high school, was a B+ student at best. So, not necessarily phenomenal in the classroom, but pretty good, right? Went to college on a soccer scholarship, was really, indecisive about even going in the first place. But I'd already committed to play soccer, by the time I was a junior in high school. So, of course, didn't want to go back on my commitment, and wanted to go try it out to at least, experience it to make sure that I knew I wasn't gonna like it, if that makes sense. So, went to college, didn't really do anything except, party and, get the quote unquote college experience that for some reason all these people go and look for these days. And really about halfway through the first semester of school, I'm just sitting there, I'm not really in the best place mentally. I'm not really in the best place physically, spiritually, emotionally. I'm just not there, so I call an individual, you know him, of course, named Joseph Williams. I'm sitting on a park bench in the quad. It's like 10 p.m. Eastern, and I call him and he just answers on the first ring. We have a great conversation. We hadn't spoken like 6 months. We had a phenomenal conversation. I got back in business with him, dropped out, December 13th, 2019. Like, I'll always remember that date, the day I actually became an entrepreneur. I actually, it's a funny story. I tried to drop out within my first month of college. I actually tried to do that, and my soccer coach actually called my parents. Like imagine that. Like I'm 19 years old at this point, and my soccer coach is calling my parents, telling me to get me to stay in school. Like had a meeting with the dean of the school. Like they're trying to get me to stay, and I'm just like, this is crazy. I'm 19 years old. I'm a grown person. I can make the decision if I want to leave or not. But they talked me into staying at least till semester. I knew I was out of there at semester, so left. And the first day, right, the first day I was out of school, I actually had such a blessed opportunity to go and meet a lot of individuals. I don't know if you know the company Northwestern Mutual, right? But I actually had the opportunity to go meet like a lot of their corporate staff. It's a massive company. I sat down, had a great conversation with the chief investment officer of Northwestern Mutual, and told him, listen, I'm super into the markets. I'm super into trading. I'm super into just changing lives. Like that's what I was born to do. My mom always told me I would be a leader. All through my childhood, she told me I was a leader, so I don't see any coincidence of where I ended up right now, right? So I'm sitting down with this individual, once again, very successful, and he just keeps on telling me, you need this degree, you need that license, you need this license, you need that degree, for what I'm telling him I want to do, which is simply just invest in markets, right? It's specifically the Dow Jones, so um, I kind of blow him off. Of course, I took some of his advice. He was once again very successful, but I kind of blow him off because I'm like, yo, listen, like that's a sign. Like, someone telling me I need all those degrees is, to me, it was a sign that I made the right choice, right? Because I
Mm.
actually didn't want to end up. I saw, I mean, this king had bags under his eyes. Said he woke up at 2:30 in the morning to
God damn.
yeah, bro. He had to study news. He had to study news for like 6 hours that morning because he was going to be on Bloomberg television. It's a business news channel in the afternoon, and he said he has to do that like every other day. So I was like, yo, listen, I'm very big on, if you buy someone's opinion, you're buying their lifestyle. So it's like,
Ooh.
I didn't buy his opinion. I didn't want his lifestyle, to be in an office all day, to be having to wake up, to be really not in control of what you do with your time. So I kind of blew off a lot of his opinions, um, continue my process. It's been phenomenal over the last year and a half. I've met, the greatest individuals, have built amazing relationships, and have had a whole lot of fun in the process. Great things to learn. Or I have learned great things, excuse me, and I know there's so much more to learn. So that's kind of where I'm at today. I'm the chief operating officer of Believe Your Power. We currently have over 300 individuals in the company mastering the Dow Jones, through what our founders
Yes,
created,
sir.
the
Yes,
instant
sir.
profit system. So shout out to that, shout out to them, you know, and shout out to really the company itself, right? It's just an amazing environment, where so many individuals are having their lives changed, on a daily basis. And to me, man, changing lives is life changing, right? Changing lives is life changing. So that's kind of where I'm at, in life right now, and just super excited and once again super grateful, to be here with you, King.
Bro, your story, yo, dude. It's like when you say at 15 or 16, bro, that's just like so crazy. So what, like, how did you know, or how did you gain that, like, that sense of feeling like, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur when you was like 15 or 16? Like, why did you, like, what was something that was a breaking point that led you to say, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur? Was it something that you seen? Was it something that you read, or what really pushed you into that direction? Besides like people telling you one thing, and then college and school and whatnot, but what was something when you were at that young age that actually pushed you into the direction of wanting to become an entrepreneur?
So yeah, and there's like a plethora of things, man. Of course, being 15, I was a freshman in high school, right? Um, I started seeing more and more, of course, as you go through adolescence and get older and older, you see more and more of how the world actually works, right? So it's like, I'm starting to see all these, I was 15, I was looking at seniors, and I'm like, they don't seem, happy. They don't seem like they have their life. They seem like super excited to go to college, but even after that, what happens, right? So I guess, for me, I've been super blessed to just have like always a long-term thinking process, right? So that's something that I still utilize to this day, of course. But it's like I just knew, like, something clicked inside of me, that I wanted to do something with business. I'm not exactly even sure what it was. It just started making more and more sense to me. They were having us do all these career tests, which is absolutely absurd. When you're they had us do it in seventh grade, eighth grade, and ninth grade freshman year. And at the time, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, right? And here's the thing. Here's the thing. it may have even been earlier, in my life that I knew uh, business was for me, and not even necessarily business, but just wealth, right? Um, Wealth, because as a kid, I was always drawing pictures of trying to draw at least pictures of fancy cars, drawing pictures of me standing in front of people talking. It's actually super crazy. I just had the opportunity to speak on stage for the first time last month, in Charlotte, North Carolina. But as a kid, I'm thinking all these things. I'm seeing all these things. Like, I was watching motivational videos when I was like, 9 or 10 years old. And to me, it was just always a thought process of, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be wealthy. I just needed the vehicle, right? So, originally, I, like, growing up, I thought it was going to be soccer. I thought I was going to go be, a professional soccer player. And then, of course, as I grew older and older, I saw the reality of that get slimmer and slimmer, and that's completely okay. I still love the sport, of course. It's incredible, but then I shifted from wanting to be a soccer player to, once I realized, like, that was probably not a very realistic thing, or at least I'm not even going to say it wasn't realistic, bro, because I don't believe anything is unrealistic, that a human
I
being
was about to
wants to
say
do,
that.
right? So it was morely, I didn't really want that lifestyle. At the end of the day, I didn't want to be training, doing soccer every single day, 6 to 8 hours out of the day, 7 days a week. Like, I just actually didn't want that, is what I realized. So, self-awareness is a massive thing on every single person's journey. That's when I got into the thought of wanting to be a doctor. Right, one of my friends' dads was like one of the top 1% anesthesiologists in the country. Right, so he's doing very well, and I got to hang out with him, and I saw how he lived. Right, he had like 17 weeks off out of the year, like paid. So I, I saw that, and I saw the houses that he had. I saw um, living on with the ocean as your backyard. I saw all that stuff that he had, but most importantly, like, I would go over to his house and his dad had books everywhere, right? Like I'm saying, like, 4 hour work week on the counter, rich dad poor dad on the table. He tested. He would literally,
Woo.
he loved learning so much, man. He was looking at ACT books. I mean, this is a 45, 50-year-old individual getting more knowledge from ACT books just because he loves math, like, just because he likes learning more and more and testing himself. So I saw that, and that's what really clicked for me of, like, okay, you have to be consistently growing. You have to be all these different things as a wealthy person, right? At the time, it wasn't even entrepreneur. It made me want to be a doctor. So then a couple years go by in high school, right? I get to, like, junior year, and that's when it really clicked. Like, all right, entrepreneur. Like, that's when it really happened for me, because I started watching people like Gary Vaynerchuk. I started watching people like Tony Robbins.
Mm.
And that's when, like Gary Vaynerchuk saying, if you know Gary V, right, just how his
Oh
process went.
yeah, I
Didn't
know.
didn't even see didn't even see $100,000 till a year, till 35 years old, and that was after 15 years of doing nothing but working, right, for his parents' business, just because he felt grateful for them, right? So that really resonated with me. I've just been someone that has always had massive dreams, massive goals, and actually believed I can attain it. So when I found out, being an entrepreneur, you set your own schedule, you work for yourself, you can make all the money you want to make. It's unlimited income, or at least there's not a income cap like at any type of job. It just clicked in my head, like, that's it. That's what I want to do, because I started having not the best grades in school. Like, I think after sophomore year, my cumulative GPA, which I'm not even going to get into all that, but it was very low, right? It was very low.
I got you. We all been
Um,
there, bro.
yeah, man, it was very low, but that's when it clicked for me. Like, okay, I don't want to be in school for 12 years to be a doctor, right? I don't want to live broke for 10 years just to be a
Sheesh.
doctor working all the time. So you know um entrepreneur, it just clicked, and that's when I started researching, like, started trying to get into e-commerce. I started trying to do Shopify drop shipping, and all this stuff. And it just, learn one of the first lessons of entrepreneurship is that it at least takes some type of capital to make money, right? It at least takes some type of money to make money. And of course, being a 17-year-old kid, I didn't really have it at the time. For at least drop shipping, right? Like, and I have mentors that do, drop shipping, that do e-commerce, and they tell me it's like, you basically have a $50,000 to $70,000 entry fee if you want to make any type of money. In either of those, industries, e-commerce and drop shipping, kind of similar, but I'm trying really to just figure out how to be an entrepreneur. I don't trying to figure out what to sell, trying to figure out how I could start a business. The first thing I thought of was a t-shirt company, right? I started designing t-shirts on, I can't even remember the website, but very great platform, whatever it is. I started designing t-shirts. And the thing for me was, and what's crazy when I look back now is that I never took action, right? I never tried to sell the t-shirt because I was always afraid of what others would think. I was always afraid that it wouldn't work out. So I never really launched a t-shirt business. I never really sold any t-shirt, even though I had like literally probably over 100 designs that I thought were like cool. I always branded it around like motivation. I always branded it around wealth. These t-shirts. So just never launched it out of fear. And that's, we both know that's what holds most people back, is just fear. So I get to being 18, and I remember it clear as day. I'm sitting in my basement on my phone, and I just Google how do I make money online. It's Christmas break of my senior year. Google how to make money online. First thing that pops up is something called Forex, right? And it's like, I never heard of this.
Into it now.
Yeah.
Everybody into Forex.
This would have been December 2018, right? So, gonna be 3 years this year. I had never heard of Forex, never had anything to do with markets at this time. And, I watched a couple of videos on YouTube and I'm hooked instantly, right? Like instantly I knew, and I mean, this is what I hope a lot of people will get to go through in their lifetime, even though the reality is not many do. But when you find your calling, you will know, right? When you find exactly what you were supposed to do in this lifetime, you will know, right? I saw the concept of, candlesticks, right? Just for those who don't know markets and charts, just price moving up and down. And it clicked in my head of, price in these markets moves up and down, and I can make money off the movement from a screen. Oh my goodness, that's it. That's what I need to do. So immediately get into that, get into a Forex company that I found online, right? 18, not really doing a lot of research in the business, just dove right in. And I feel like sometimes, this is what you have to do early in your career. You have to, shoot that arrow and then, figure out where the target was, right? So, I'm in this company, and I meet an incredible individual, one of my brothers to this day, one of my mentors to this day, Joseph Williams, known as Coach Vibes. I meet him in this company because I see that he's really the only one having any type of results. This is early 2019, like January, February 2019. He takes me under his wing, helps me with a lot of things to do with these markets, puts me on to the Dow Jones. And I actually gave up on him, right? Like crazy story, once again, when I reflect and look back, but everything happens for a reason. I actually gave up and quit on him the first time. And that's why it was so long, that we went without speaking, until I called him that night when I was at school, ready to just break down, right? And nobody really knows how unhappy I was, at school, not to do with the education, but to do with the environment. That's a whole nother story. But it's like, he put me onto the Dow Jones. I quit on him. That whole summer leading up to college, I'm trying to figure out, how to trade it even better, trying to figure out how I can help people trade, because, get this, summer 2019, all I wanted to do was figure out how to trade the Dow Jones better and create a company that I could help other individuals do the same thing. Is that not what happened, right? And we'll get into that later, but it's like um, that whole summer 2019, I'm writing my affirmations. I'm saying I am so happy and grateful now that I'm a master of the Dow Jones. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a consistently profitable investor. I'm so happy and grateful I've helped a million lives. Trade the Dow Jones successfully. Like I'm saying all this stuff summer 2019, not even, knowing Coach Vibes is on the back end putting in so much work to figure out a system that's duplicatable that could be taught to so many individuals, not even knowing, me not even knowing who Tyler Green was, who's literally like changed my entire life. Not even knowing those two individuals are working together to do what I'm writing and saying. So, that just shows like how the universe will align, the right
It's
people,
crazy.
the right places around you, when you care about your goal enough, when you actually take action and go after it. Because I didn't really take action until I dropped out of school. I didn't
It
take
took a
action until I dropped
dramatic,
out of school. Yeah,
it's like it took a dramatic breakthrough. And I actually had some questions I want to ask really because
1000.
as you were talking, right, it was some key things that I really, really noticed, especially when you were saying that, yo, bro was like the guy that was like a doctor and he was reading these books, he was like in his 50s, 40s and 50s. And it just that that tells you within itself that it does not matter what age group you are, you can achieve goals. What
Mm-hmm.
you're never too old to learn. You're never too
Mm,
old to really get information. You're never too old to evolve. You're never too old to develop because it's always the biggest room is the room for improvement. The biggest
mm,
room there is room for improvement.
yes.
And from you just saying that, I was like, oh man, he's thinking the same way I was thinking at one point in time. And that's when I started hearing it. I think his name was Prince Donnell, right? I think Prince Donnell, he's on Instagram, and he was talking about, the average person that's successful, the average millionaire, they read 17 books a year. Now, I haven't even touched up on 17 books now. I'm on like my third or fourth book. But it's just the fact that you pointed out that no matter what age you was, whoever's 40, 50, whatever age you are, that's when you listen to this podcast, bro, it is never too late. You just got to put that self-discipline to actually being self-disciplined to want more, you know? And something else stuck out to me as you were talking too. It was the fact that when you were saying that, bro, when you was talking to somebody else with trading and stuff like that, right? I think you was talking to somebody else before you was talking with Vibes. Um, that guy, bro, had bags in his eyes, and it related to common sense because you used the intellect that you knew to determine, like, okay, I don't want to do this. This is not where I want to
Exactly.
see myself. You basically use common sense, and common sense comes from the information that you know, but using your five senses to detect something that's good or bad for you. You basically just used that. Like I was like, oh man, he just used common sense. He just used common sense, and like when you, especially the story with Vibes, but he'll definitely be on this pod because I'm gonna put a note on that because I know you guys are going to really go in on this one, but I had so many questions to ask. It's like I was listening, and it was like, oh man, this dude can fully relate to a lot of people because there's a lot of people that don't know themselves and don't know what they want. Oh, this is also what I pay attention to when you was talking about the t-shirt company, right? And valuing other people's opinions. And that's like the number one dream killer. The number one dream killer is basing off. I was telling my friend this last night, and I was telling him that you have to be careful of what friends and what family that's in within your circle because what they tell you, it can compromise your dream. And why? Because your dreams are stored in your heart. Whatever
Mm,
thoughts or whatever they feel, it don't go to the mind. It goes directly to your heart. To your heart. It goes directly to your heart where your dreams are. And that's why a lot of people end up compromising a dream because they put aside for someone that they want to support them. You know what I'm saying? You understand where I'm getting from with it? Like, to say for example, right? My mom, right? I'm just going to just rough example. She never did this shit before. But a rough example, right? Say if I wanted to, I don't know, let's say we're gonna say entrepreneur, or say if I want to play basketball, right? Or anything with that within that instance. I could say, Mom, I want to go out and play basketball, right? And she was like, No, I don't really think you can really do it. And if I listen to her, I listen to her because I want her to be my number one supporter. Because I value her opinion, it compromises of me chasing my dream to actually wanting to achieve it. Because I want her to be on my side to actually achieve it. And because I allowed her opinion, I allow my brain to that opinion went straight to my heart. Where my dreams lie of becoming that athlete or becoming whatever I want to become. And I end up compromising it because I want her to be my number one supporter. And that's why a lot of people's dreams get killed. A lot.
Most definitely, because like I said at the beginning, you should never accept someone's opinion if you're not willing to accept their lifestyle. And it's like, it's one of those things. A lot of parents think, they're almost protecting their children by trying to bring them in sense of reality almost, right? But it's also just because of how they were raised, how they were programmed, where they ended up in life. So it's like you almost can't even blame them. But it's like you as that individual, right? If it was you trying to play basketball, you have to understand, if something, even if the odds aren't in your favor, if it's important enough to you, you'll find a way to win. And that's something, I'm learning, as I get further and further along in my process. Is it's like success is so inevitable if you just don't give up. Like, and that's what a lot of people don't get, is how attainable true success. And I'm not saying money. I'm saying success, right? A lot of people correlate those two things, but success to me is really being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. So it's like, what is your goal? Like, for example, if you want to be a teacher and you grow up, you go to school for 4 years, get your education degree, and become a teacher, you're successful, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you're making a year. You are a successful human being, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's one of the biggest barriers to growth is the opinions of others. And once you get over that fact, and believe me, it can take quite a while, right? Because that's a high level of breakthrough that you have to reach. Like, that's fully out of the comfort zone. Some people do it naturally, right? But some people, for me, for example, I was I've always been, an introvert, right? Definitely not antisocial, but I've like always been someone who consciously chooses their circle, and keeps it very small at all times, right? Like, it's better to have 4 quarters than have 100 pennies. We all agree on that. So it's like, um, you know, I kept my associations to where they were helping my belief system rather than hurting it. I kept the information that was in front of me was where it was helping my belief system instead of hurting it. And it was a massive shift to go through when you drop out of school, and your parents are telling you to go back. Your grandparents are telling you to go back. Your little cousins are told not to look up to you because you're a college dropout. Like imagine that at a family gathering that happening, and it did. And so it was like it was hard for me not to go back to school, when I was 4 months in of being a dropout, and the only money I had made as a quote unquote entrepreneur was when I got my job at the car wash right after I dropped out of school, and I quit that within I quit that within a month and a half of having it, because of an individual named Tyler Green, right? Took me under his wing, and that's like, I'd always bought into Coach Vibes, right? I always bought in. I saw where he was in his process. I bought into TG, and I bought into the vision that they put forth for Believe Your Power. And, so that's what really made me quit that job. And it's like, I'm all in. Like, I remember it's crazy. I'm grateful to have a great memory. Dropped out of school, December 13th, 2019, quit my only job that I will ever have, February 18th, 2020. And really, so it's like, you could even say full-time entrepreneur started after that job, right? On February 18th. And it's like, once again, I only quit that because they built my belief system. They helped me build it to the point where I was like, my vision was just so big on what this could actually be. I started understanding, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? One of my favorite
Oh
books, As a
yes,
Man Thinketh.
yes,
And
yes.
it talks about the heart a lot in that book. So it's like, I just started understanding, more and more, and I started understanding faster and faster that it's like, all these people look at the law of attraction, but they don't look at the last six letters of that word attraction. It's action, right? You actually have to put in the work.
Ooh,
You actually have to
ooh.
do more. Like, that's what I'm saying. So, and that's when it really clicked, was when I quit that job, and I was like, all right, you are now a college dropout. You have now quit a job that, your parents told you have to be working to live in your house, or to live in their house, excuse me, at that time. And what are you going to do now? You're not making money in the markets yet, right? The business, like, get that, bro, Believe Your Power had 20 people in it. I had nothing to do with, laying groundwork, or building the foundation. Like, I was just someone that Vibes and TG had taken under their wing at that point. I became the vice president of it in late March, and then became the COO, in late May of 2020. So, that's where we are now. Um, that's what I'm saying is, and it all comes back to the leaps of faith, right? It all comes back to,
Oh
this
snap.
this self-discipline, right? Like, if I never took the leap of faith to get out of school, and I'm not even saying everybody has to do that if you want to be an entrepreneur. Don't think that's what I'm saying at all. But it's like, if I never took that leap of faith, right? I wouldn't be here. If I didn't take the leap of faith to quit that job, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't have the discipline, most importantly, after taking those leaps of faith, I wouldn't be here. Because, when I dropped out of school, my days, but like I said, I got my job early January. So I had about 2, 3 weeks of just being a dropout with doing nothing. All I did for 8 to 10 hours a day, I locked my door. I did personal development, literally 8 to 10 hours a day. I woke up, I did personal development, ate dinner, hopped on a BYP education call, and went to bed. Did the same exact thing the next day, and the next day, and the next day, because I was hungry for growth. I was disciplined with the routine that I had, right? Um, and I felt like the main reason I quit my job was I felt like I wasn't growing enough. Like, I was spending 8 to 10 hours a
Mm.
day washing cars, and even then I had discipline, right? Even then I had self-discipline, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when I was washing these cars, I thought, I put myself in the customer's shoes. I was like, all right, how would I really want this to look when I come out here and see my car? I would make sure every single car was, A1. Every single car was crystal
Oh yeah.
clear.
Gotta have that work
Because
ethic, man.
yes, exactly. Like, that's just the kind of individual that I was. I've always been, and I can't say always, but since I took those leaps of faith, those two main ones, right? I've become very disciplined. I've become, you know, like, I can say fully that I love my work ethic. And I'm not
Mhm.
trying to sound cocky. It's just self-love, right? Um,
Right,
like like I
right.
like you know. So one of my mentors told me, like, a long time ago, even before I took any action, back in like 2018, 2019, really, he told me, he's like, if you're going to be known for one thing, be known for your work ethic. I mean, that's stuck with
Mm.
me till
That's
this
that's
day, three
that's
years
hard.
later.
That's hard because like
Yeah.
that's words and inspiration within itself. And then as I was hearing you talking, right, you live life by the three C's, yo. Three C's. I said this on a Zoom call with Queen Kalia. Look, the choice to take a chance to make a change. You just
Mm,
live life by the three C's, right? You took that choice to leave the job. You took that choice to drop out, to take that chance to possibly losing everything, to possibly falling into a pit. You took that chance. But however, it made that change. It made that change to exactly what you wanted to become because you did those 3 C's. That choice to take a chance to make a change. You literally just follow those 3 simple principles. So now I have a question for you. How hard it was for you to really have that self-discipline to continue doing those things during those hard times? Like, how hard was it really to maintain that self-discipline? What was some key elements that drove you, or what were some things that you asked yourself to help you continue teaching yourself that self-discipline mindset?
1000%. And those 3 C's is such a phenomenal way to put it, by the way. It's for me, and it's for me, you know, when I really look back and reflect, like what kept me going was the resources that I had, right? Because it's like to me, there's 3 questions you have to ask yourself to manifest something, like to truly do it in a real way. You know, not just talk about it like a lot of people want to do. To me, you have to actually know what you want. Like, you have to be so crystal clear about that. So you have to ask yourself, what do I want? Like, and it can be, here's the thing, so many people don't know because the time frame, right? They don't know, like, you know, is it, 1, they think, is it realistic? 2, they think, you know, when do I want to get this done by? And they don't have an answer for that. But I'm telling you, if you just define what you want, you're already ahead of 90% of people because they don't know what they want. So ask yourself,
that's
what do you
hard.
want? Yes, of course. And question 2, what's standing in the way of me getting what I want? Right? Like what objects, what do I actually have to overcome to get what I want? And 3, what resources do I have to overcome those objections on my journey? What resources do I have to overcome obstacles to me getting what I want? And you know, I just did that, right? At the end of the day, like, and at the time, I didn't have that level of awareness to ask myself those 3 questions. But now that's how I grow now, right? That's how I manifest now. When I look back, that's really how I did it. I just wasn't aware I was doing it that way. You know, so for me, self-discipline kind of came naturally for one reason. I feel like more than anything is that it really depends on the individual how strong the vision is, right? I like to say, you know, the ones who stay focused on the vision the longest are the ones that win. And it's like, for me, if your vision isn't strong enough, if you're not waking up every day just excited and in gratitude that you're a human being on this planet with a higher level of consciousness, it's like you're not going to win, to be honest. Like, if you're not waking up excited for life itself, you're not going to win. You know, and for me, that was something that it's like, I woke up the day after I dropped out of school, I woke up and said, thank you. Like, still to this day, I do that. Wake up and say thank you, wake up in gratitude, and know exactly what I'm going to do, have that rising routine that we always, you know, preach and talk about. But it's like, it's so much more serious than individuals even realize to have that, you know. So I woke up every single day grateful that I even had the vision that came in my head. That's so grateful to even have the ability to think about my goals, not just for the goals themselves, but the thoughts about my goals, right? I was grateful for that. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like the biggest thing to me that has to do with self-discipline is how strong is your vision. If your vision is strong, if it's all you think about, trust me, you're going to naturally be a self-disciplined individual. And that's just how it was for me, right? That's just, you know, I'm grateful that it was like that because I understand it may not be like that for everybody, right? So I would say, you know, that, you know, number 1 is you have to have a strong vision if you want to be self-disciplined. And 2, right, we were talking about this even before the call. before this, podcast, is just like, you have to not only have that goal, but actually have an attainable way of getting it. What are your
That
systems?
systems, them
What
systems. Well,
and
let
and
hmm
I truly I don't even mean to cut you off, but I truly believe,
no, you good, bro.
within Believe Your Power, we have developed the greatest system, to get what you want, right? The prosperity algorithm, the TPA,
Hmm
your nightly routine, your rising routine, and your income
Yes,
producing
sir.
activities
Yes,
that you put
sir.
in towards your goals. Like, it's very simple at the end of the day. Like, you know, it's all about what you do with your time. It's not necessarily about, the hours you put in. It's about what you put in those hours. It's about being intentional. It's about staying disciplined even when it gets hard. Like, for example, there's been so many times, probably three or four over the past year and a half, that since we started this company, like a handful of our core people have fell off, and it's like, it's hard to see, especially that third time. I was very, very close with some of these individuals that just quit. And it's like, when I reflect, I'm like, maybe I could have worked a little bit harder with them. But something that you can't do is force people to go harder for themselves, right? You just can't.
Mm.
It's really, if you ask someone how bad they want it, and they say bad, like I want it, I want it, I want it, but then don't put any action in behind it, don't put the level of work to match their vision behind it,
Mm.
they're never going to attain it. So of course they're going to give up. Of
Mm.
course they're going to quit. And like I said earlier, for me, I've just always had such a long-term process, or excuse me, an understanding that everything we're trying to do now, right? Everything I've been trying to do since I quit that job, um, is all long-term focused, right? I'm not worried about trying to make $1 million in my first year of entrepreneurship. And I guess I should say I wasn't worried about that, because I'm past my first year, but I was never worried about that. I'm more focused on making $1 billion in a decade, making $10 billion in 15 years time, becoming one of the world's first trillionaires. Like, I'm more focused on
Oh,
that.
yes, sir.
And not
That's the
even,
big vision.
yeah, and not even saying like money is what I'm focused on, but for those individuals who are focused like that, right? Don't focus on the short-term game. I actually read a phenomenal quote, um, earlier today. Is it's like, the longer the process takes you, the longer you're going to be able to maintain your success, right? The longer the journey takes you to get there, the longer the success will last. And it's like,
Oh,
that resonated so deeply with me, because I'm all about the process. Like I'm so grateful that I know exactly what I want, and that I put in work every single day to get there, so that when I do get there, the only thing to be grateful for is never giving up. I'm grateful for the process that it took to get there. I'm grateful for
yes,
who I
sir.
became in that process, and that's even a disciplined way to think. It takes discipline to, you know stay focused on a long-term vision, and not fall into everything else going on the side, excuse me, because of course, over this journey of trading, and over this journey of building, this company to truly what I believe it can be. It's like, of course I've had other opportunities come at me. Of course I've had other people say, well, you should do this instead. But it's like, I remember Steve Jobs saying, it's what you say no to that matters." Right? Like saying no is
Trail.
really the ability to focus. So that's something I've just always been blessed that I've had the mentors that also did that. um and I've been under their wing for really just a year now, a little over a year. So, like, I can't wait to see, what we're able to do in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. As long, of course, as we stay disciplined.
Mm, bro, that has to been literally the most trillest, like the whole, the fact that the whole topic was about self-discipline is just, it's so crazy because I was actually I was looking at I believe it was a Joe Rogan podcast, and Mike Tyson has stated something like, I think I said it to you once. I think we was in a call a couple of days ago, but I believe I've stated it that Mike Tyson said, I don't care how good you are at anything, without discipline, you are nobody. You are nothing.
Mm,
You are nothing without
it's
discipline.
true.
Because because when you under that slightest bit of pressure, you give up. That slightest bit of
Hmm.
struggle, you give up. You give up under the slightest bit of struggle without discipline. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. Because in the
And
end,
that's,
my bad.
go ahead,
My
my
bad,
bad.
because I know you about to go in. I know you about to go right on right behind this quote. So, but damn, now that I forgot. I'm thinking like 100 miles per hour.
My
Damn.
apologies.
Nah, you good, bro. Nah, because this is a hell of a good conversation, especially, you talking about the story, we talking about self-discipline. And the people who lack that self-discipline. And for one, in order for you to have self-discipline, you have to know what you have to stop doing.
Mm,
That's like number one thing, like literally noticing what's stopping
awareness.
you. Yes, the awareness, knowing what's stopping you to getting what you need. What do I have to do? What do I have to self-discipline myself to stop doing in order for me to attain my goal? And it's like keeping track of that, everything that you're doing, right? Something similar to like, oh, say if you're about to watch TV, right? Ask yourself, is me watching this TV, like, is this really something that I would do that would be considered a self-discipline going like a step forward towards my goal? Like realizing this activity I'm about to do right now, will this help my dream? Will this help my goal? Is this a part of my system? Right? And it just having that awareness of that help in a way, builds self-discipline. And knowing what your good habits and your bad habits are is also dependent on marginal habits. And that was in the book of Atomic Habits that was stated by David I think his name was David Brillsforth. And he said marginal habits is the tiny habits that accumulated into big results, which good or
Mm,
bad. I think that's what it called. I think that's what he called it. Marginal gains.
1,000, 1,000.
Yeah, marginal gains. I think that's what it called.
And
The tiny
it's,
changes that you do
and it's
builds up to that.
exactly 1,000% that. And that's what I was gonna say, even after, you said the Mike Tyson quote, and talked about, um like just failing, and not failing but giving up, because failing, right, that's a part of the process. The only way you can truly fail is if you give up. And so many people do, like you said, under pressure, at the slightest, give up. And that's where it's like, even with marginal habits, um you can't just be disciplined one time, you can't just be disciplined twice. It's habitual discipline that will truly propel you forward. You have to be consistent with your discipline, and discipline with your consistency, right? So it's
Ooh.
like, and so that's what I'm saying, like with marginal habits. um for
For
example,
marginal
one that
gains.
I love, yeah, for marginal gains, one that I love is make your bed. Like, simply, like, because to me, what that does is, and a lot of individuals, will either say this is great, or a lot of individuals will call me crazy, right? What that does is tell you how organized a person is. When you wake up, if you leave your bed unmade, and try and do work in your room, it's like, dog, you're working in an environment, like, you're working in an environment that's not 100% up to the standards you claim to hold yourself to, right? So make that
Mm.
bed, be organized immediately as you start the day. Get up, make your bed first thing, be organized. And
Mm.
it's a crazy statistic, bro. Look it up when you get the chance. People who make their bed are actually 200% more likely to become millionaires. I have no idea, you
What the
know
hell?
I have no idea who did the analytics for that. I have no idea who got the data for that, but it is there. Like, it is a statistical fact, that people who, and I'm not claiming, if you start making your bed tomorrow, $1,000,000 is gonna fall in your lap. Of course not. But it's like even that
Hopefully.
stat, how could that not make you want to make your bed? So that's what I'm saying. I highly agree that, it's those small little things that actually shape you as a person. It's those at the end of the day, it's habits, that are going to lead to success. It's the systems in which you do your work that's going to lead in. And to be honest, if you're doing what you love, it's not really work. It just is what it is. So habits are everything.
Real talk. And habits is like one of the key things. If you don't have a particular direction, right? If you don't have a particular direction,
Mm-hmm.
do the good habits that moves you into that good direction. You know what's bad for you, right? That they
Yes.
said it in Atomic Habits. They was like, if you don't have a particular direction that you're going in, well, do the habits that can move you into that trajectory of that direction of what you're trying to move towards. Like, because you'll know what something is a good habit when something is not when something is a bad habit. You know that junk food will make you fat. So do the opposite of doing junk food. Well, you know if you start eating healthier, then you won't become fat.
And
Right?
that's where it's like, it's so vital that the individual doing this, and I'm about to tell a story from me in a second, but it's so vital that the individual doing this understands the concept of just basic decision making, right? When you decide something, something dies, right? That's actually I'm pretty sure that ties back into
Ooh.
the Greek word of decision, whatever that is. But I heard that one time. But it's you're think about it. Think about it. When you decide, I'm gonna eat um, blueberries and oatmeal for breakfast instead of French toast sticks with syrup, you are deciding to be healthy, and that other thing that you decided against dies, right? So how many times can you consistently kill it? How many times can you consistently make that good decision? And I think about it for me, I went from being, an individual at 19 and turned 20 and when I was in college, or excuse me, no, I would have turned 19 in college, excuse me. So from being 18 and turning 19 in school in September of 2019, it's I went from, literally drinking, I'm talking about every single day, 7 days a week, skipping classes, not being happy at all in life, to when I dropped out, I made the decision, I'm not going to put myself around those people anymore. I made the decision, I'm not going to drink anymore. I made the decision that I'm all in. I dropped out to do this. I'm all in, and then what did I tell you I was doing when I dropped out of school? 8 to 10 hours of personal development every day, researching more ways to make money every day, focusing so heavily, right, on trading every single day, right? I made the decision to kill off all those bad habits, and became a completely new person. 30, 60, definitely 90 days later, I didn't recognize myself, from the day I dropped out of school. I was a completely different individual. And that's, to be honest, that's a sidebar. That should always be a goal for an individual. And I recommend doing it and I told you this, on a call the other day, at every single quarter, right? Every single quarter, reflect how is the last 90-day quarter, and then make a goal to not recognize yourself at the start of the next one, at the end of this quarter. Make a goal to not be the same individual, to really be unrecognizable 90 days from now. That's how I've lived since Q2 of 2020, and it's late May 2021 right now, so basically a year. I've had that goal at the beginning of every single quarter. I'm going to be a different individual in 90 days, and it's happened every single time because I'm so focused on growth. I'm so focused on how consistent can I be, how disciplined can I be, and I just let the universe do its thing with the time that the rewards are reached, the time that the goals are actually hit. So it's been incredible for sure.
Oh man. And I feel like when you was going into self-discipline and as we was talking about habits and whatnot, I feel like one of the biggest issues that people struggle with is the person that is being self-disciplined to get those good habits in motion is that don't let nobody can't validate your progress besides you. You determine whether you're moving or not. You just have to see it. People
Yes.
love hearing someone else tell them, oh man, you're doing good. And they want validation from other people that they progress. You yourself is the only person that can validate that progress. But your mind has to be open to actually see. And sometimes progress doesn't mean you're going to see it in 30 days, in 60 days, in 90. Progress, you have to be patient to know progress. You have to be patient. If you're not patient, then you won't notice progress at all. You won't notice it at all.
Yeah, you won't. And it's that's something it's no coincidence that you say that, brother. It's like that's something I've actually had to get better at is allowing myself to be grateful of the progress that I've made, because I've been on a run for the last year and a half of literally, um, helping start a business, helping build a business, figuring out, situations on my own end, figuring out how to help other individuals as much as I can, devoting my time. Like to this day, right? It's crazy. I told you, um, I don't want that lifestyle of that individual I met at Northwestern Mutual, but it's like now and really for I would say about the last year, since like June, July of 2020, I've probably worked 18 to 20-hour days consistently 7 days a week. Since then, since we really tried to launch the business the first time, it's like I've probably worked 18 to 20-hour days for 10, 11 months straight. But it's for a reason. It's to build a business. It's not see, that individual that I met was 30 years into his career. I'm doing this now so I can reap the rewards of all I have to do for the next 10, 15, 20, 30, really the rest of life is help other individuals get more successful than I am. Like that's the end goal, of course, and it always will be, and that's how I measure. For me, that's how I'm going to measure my success when I'm 60, 70, 80 years old. Is how many individuals have I helped become more successful than I am at that point in my life. So it's like that's what I'm saying. Even with the conversation going back, to discipline, is it I just want to reemphasize, how important it is that it's habitual discipline, how important it is that it's consistent discipline. At the end of the day, you know, once again, doing something one time doesn't make you disciplined. And it's like, truthfully, if you really want to measure, right, how disciplined you are, how consistent you are, how focused you are, it goes back to what you said about, is me sitting down and watching Netflix right now gonna progress me? Is me sitting down and watching a movie right now gonna progress me? Is me scrolling through Instagram for 20 minutes gonna progress me? When you look at how much you procrastinate, it'll show you how disciplined you actually are, right? When you become aware
That's
of how
real.
much procrastination creeps up on you, you'll realize, oh man, I'm really only X at this level of consistency. I could do more. That's one of my personal values, is just do more, whatever it is, because that's something else. Like if you really want to cut down the learning curve on something, do more of that and do it faster, right? That's what I'm saying. If you really want to learn the Dow Jones, um, like at least how we do it in BYP, if you really want to learn it in 3 days, like if that's what you want to do, you can do it. However, you're gonna have to do more repetition over those 3 days. And you're gonna have to continuously do that faster, than anybody else to learn it like that. And that's with any skill set, really. If you want to learn how to be, the top realtor, right, in the country, all right, look at what the top realtor in the country is doing, do more of that and do it faster than he's doing it, and you'll become the top realtor if you do it consistently with enough discipline. It's success is so simple at the end of the day, but what's simple to do is also very simple not to do.
Right, right, right. That is facts. And okay, to some of the listeners who may have this question, what, how to become self-disciplined? That's the question.
How to become self-disciplined? So I will really say, again, first off, build your vision. What's the purpose of you being self-disciplined in the first place? Like why are you actually wanting, to be a disciplined individual? Is it just because someone told you to do it? Is it, most people who are self-disciplined are pursuing something. So it's like, once again, what do you want? What's in your way? What resources do you have to overcome the obstacles? So building self-discipline, I would say, other than knowing what you actually want, because of course, like that can only go so far. You may know what you want, but you may not know how to actually, continuously stay motivated, continuously stay consistent. So self-discipline comes a lot from your belief system as well, right? And the four things that make up a belief system is, of course, the information, your associations, your environment, and your life experiences. So it's like, what are those four things like how do they actually look in your life? What information are you taking in, and what associations do you have? Like to be honest, those two things kind of make up your environment, and those three things kind of make up your life experiences. So it's like you have to do personal development. You have to read books, like as much as you don't want to, at least at the beginning, because I wasn't a heavy reader when I dropped out of school. Like when I tell you I did 8 to 10 hours of personal development a day for like 3 months straight, that was literally all on YouTube. I was listening to individuals that I wanted to be like and taking notes. I was listening to a Bob Proctor. I was listening to The Strangest Secret. I was listening to Les Brown. I was listening to Tony Robbins.
Oh, Les Brown, the GOAT. He's a GOAT.
Yeah, man. Like that's and it's great. It's very great for like his information is great for beginners as well. Like people just getting into wanting to be successful. So that's who I was listening to. I wasn't necessarily reading, but the more books I've read, the more I understand like all the information, that you could ever want is within these books. Like I promise you. You don't know what you don't know. So it's like information is everything. The reason why people actually get wealthy, right, or at least have the opportunity to get wealthy, is because the information that they're exposed to. If I'm exposed to the IPS, if I'm exposed to the TPA, I can use those things to build wealth, right? I can use time management and a skill set to build massive amounts of wealth. If I'm someone if I'm a different person, who has never heard of those things, doesn't really believe that anything good can happen for me, right? And maybe I don't even believe that, but I don't have necessarily a positive mental attitude all the time. I just kind of go through life and I don't run into any information. Like I don't have any goals. If I don't have the information, I'm never going to know about it. Like it just makes sense. Like if I don't know, then I don't know, right? If I've never heard of the IPS, then I can't trade the IPS. So it's that simple. Information is like DNA. Information is your lifeblood at the end of the day. So once again, just to reiterate, like a lot of self-discipline comes from the information that you intake that builds your belief system. Self-discipline also comes from just, once, like I already said, and like you said as well, the power to say no to things that are distracting you. The power to deal with procrastination and distraction. Oh my goodness. Like knowing what I know now, I would say those are obvious, and it's probably obvious to a lot of people that those two things would be two of the biggest killers to dreams is distraction and procrastination. And really, if you're procrastinating, you're probably distracted. So they kind of tie in, but figuring out how to maneuver around those concepts, which really ties back into, what's your environment like? If for example, in those marginal habits, if you know that you can't go a day without watching that TV that's in your bedroom, turn that TV around and make it face the wall, so that every time you walk past it, you're telling yourself, you're reaffirming, I'm not letting this distract me today. Like that's something for me, for example, and this will probably sound crazy. I had a super comfy bed, or I had a super comfy bed, right? But over the summer of 2020, I started slacking. I started, it's summer. Everybody probably falls off a little bit. I'm not going to this summer because I learned how not to last summer. But it's like
Gotcha.
most people probably do that, and it's one of those things. Most people also fall off on the weekends, and I was doing this time last year. I was falling off on the weekends. I was being weakened by the weekend, which really now it's like I understand, okay, that happened to me, it happens to all these other people, which means I should go 2 to 3 times as hard on the weekends because I can get 2 times 3 further ahead of the individual that's slacking off, that's trying to make the same things happen that I'm trying to make happen. I can get 2 to 3 times ahead of them while they sleep, while they party. I can go further than they can. I can while they're partying, and taking things they don't need to be intaking, right? I can be reading a book and expanding my insight
Real tough.
while they're partying and drinking and all this stuff. I can be reflecting to figure out how I can grow more, right? So for me, something that I gave up was a bed. you know,
I
I
gotta
didn't
give
I
up
didn't
that.
really
I gotta get that up
yeah,
sometimes.
bro.
I'm not gonna lie. I fall off
Um,
on that sometimes, but
yes,
not to
and
cut you
it's
off, I just want to
go
let people
ahead.
know everything is a learning curve, and I'm learning from King Andrew, yo, from what he's saying. And there are some habits I still have that I need to destroy. I mean, a lot of it I actually destroyed. Honestly, I used to be the same as you, right? I 3 months ago, well, 3 months ago when I first started BYP, I was already reading. But when I realized of how much money I invested into getting into BYP, it made me take things a lot serious. And because I was very conscious of that, I started hopping on the trades more. Me and Quincy, we start chopping up on the trades
Mm,
like very often. Like, yo, bro, yo, you got time at 12 o'clock? Yo, I mean, 12:30. Yo, I'm gonna go and break it 12:30. We go and chop it up on the charts, and every time. And I remember how I used to be when I first started on the charts, and I was asking like hella questions. I was like, bro, where to put this line at? Where the safe haven at, bro? How you where to do the trade level with trade level? And I always used to forget. But then as I tend to do that once or twice a day, I always did on my break, or I always came and joined the education call. So when I started doing that more, that progress, that the self-discipline to actually wanted to join the calls, join the spiritual calls, and tap into the charts, it helped me to become more better with the charts. Although I'm still in the learning process of everything, I'm much, much better than I was 3 months ago. Same thing with reading, right? I
of
used to didn't like
course.
reading just like you. You didn't like reading, bro. I used to hate that shit. But I feel like I was reading the wrong books too. Sometimes
Mm,
certain books ain't meant for everybody, right? And at the time,
facts.
all I wanted to do was self-develop myself as much as possible. And like first, it started from my friend Marquise, and he told me like, "Yo, bro, get this book by Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power." That's where it really started. I was already reading. That was before I got to BYP, so I was already reading it, but I wasn't super consistent with it. But when I got into BYP, and then the routines, the TPAs, that's you guys are doing on an often basis, I started to do it, and I started to see improvements in myself because I took the self discipline to intake that knowledge and apply it to use to improve myself, right?
Mm,
So when I started doing that more and more often, I started becoming like twice as consistent with reading than anything. And as I tend to do that, when the day that I stopped doing the routines, I felt out of place, and I knew it became a habit. Like I was like, damn, I didn't even read it today, man. Let me go ahead and read right now. Even on the days when I wanted to chill on the weekends. Damn, I'm so used to reading
yeah,
so much
bro.
now. Now it became a habit. And I think Queen Khalil also told me this, and I kind of like digest that information into my head. It takes 21 days to break a bad habit. It takes 21 days. I think that's what she said, 21 days that to break the bad habit. And I was doing this for more than 21 days, but I had to teach myself in order to get where I need to be, in order to change the place where I'm at and the place where I want to be, I have to become the person that I was meant to be. I have to let my future self partake in this current moment to overtake the
Mm,
old me, the old me right now. So I had to put myself in what would my future self do in this particular moment. I had to put that
yes.
into perspective. Like the person who I want myself to become, the person who I want myself to be, how would he handle this situation right here? And then in order to really stop yourself from going back to your bad habits is that you have to question yourself before you do it. I feel like noticing what you're about to do is what's going to help you stop that bad habit. Like when you about to turn on the TV, damn, should I really watch TV? Will this help me go towards my goal? Now you're asking yourself.
And that's the thing, bro. Like that's awareness, but it takes the discipline to actually answer yourself truthfully, you know, because it's like, I'll tell you just from experience, I've had that exact, like literally what you just said happened to me of, you know, I know I shouldn't be doing something, but of course I'm like, you know what, it's not that big of a deal anyways. And of course this doesn't happen these days, but it's like, I'm telling you, like, it of course takes slipping up for you to catch it. It of course takes doing it enough times for you to actually be like, yo, you realize you're not supposed to be doing this, so why are you doing it? It takes the discipline. It takes the discipline to make that decision once again and have that die so you don't do it anymore.
Right. And then like when you notice that, and then it's crazy because after you already done what you're not supposed to do, now you feel some type of way about like, damn, I said how I wasn't gonna do this and I end up doing it. Now do I consider myself self-discipline? No. Cause you like that's how I look at myself. And I feel like sometimes it's good to put pressure on yourself, because not too much pressure, because you deal with two types of pressure. You're dealing with that internal pressure of how much, or the sense of urgency of how much you want that goal. And then you got the external pressure. It's from the people around you and outside of you. You deal with two types of pressures. But I put enough pressure on myself to whereas I sit there and really think like, damn, why did I just fucking do that? Yo, you gotta get back on your shit. Since you already done fucked up, you already gonna watch TV, go ahead and start reading right now. So I put myself in punishment.
it's taking that immediate action. And this is actually something that I wanted to tap in on, is it's like, and we haven't yet on this call, is the fact that discipline also has everything to do with your emotional intelligence, the level of emotional intelligence that you possess. Because it's like, here's the thing, you know, of course, discipline has everything to do with what actions you take consistently. Like to me, that's what discipline really is: consistently taking actions that you intended to take. That's discipline. But it's like, let's think about it. Where do actions come from? They come from thought. Like thought will always precede action. Before you do anything, you thought about it. Even if you did something unconsciously, the neurons in your brain recognized what you were about to do, whether you did or not, whether your level of consciousness was able to see it or not. So it's like, you know, how disciplined is your thinking? And that's why I loved what you were saying of you know, you can literally know and have that conversation with yourself in your head of, you know, should I be doing this? Not really. Then it's up to you. The discipline comes in of, do I still make the decision to do it, or do I make the decision to not do it? And that's discipline right there. And it starts with thought before the action.
Yes. And it took a lot. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, sometimes that shit made me go a little bit bonkers. Like, I'm over here having an argument with myself. Like, bro, you could just chill, bro. Just chill, just real quick. Just chill real quick. And then it's the other side, like, bro, you want to become this, who you want to become, you have to push this shit aside and get to it. Get to it. Nobody else is going to do it but you. Nobody else is going to care for your future but you. No one else is going to take you in the direction that you want to take yourself but you. You make the choices in your life to go in the direction that you want to go in, because the same bed you make is the same one you will sleep in, and nobody else is going to sleep in it but you. Nobody else. So, and sometimes all it takes is that one day of not doing what you're supposed to do that can mess up you for a lifetime. It only takes one choice. And Jeff Bezos, it was a actual YouTube video that Jeff Bezos was talking about, and he was like, us human beings, we aren't designed to make 1,000 decisions a day. 3 or 4 or 5 maybe decisions can determine the way the rest of your life is going to go. But those 5 decisions, those 3 to 5 decisions can change your life. Those 3 to 5 decisions, just make good 3 to 5 decisions a day. And that could turn your life completely around.
And I think that's for one, that's an incredible perspective, Jeff Bezos being who he is. Because I've heard that as well, of like, he really doesn't start his workday till like 9-10 o'clock, and he makes all the most important decisions he has to make before like 1 p.m., before 12 p.m.
Exactly.
So, but I also think that's a very, I would say, almost crucial, very insightful reflection topic, King. Like to ask yourself, and it's definitely like a long term, like in between it, you could really do it now and figure it out. But to actually ask yourself, what are the key decisions that I've made in my life that have been life changing, been life altering? Like, what key decisions have I made that have changed my life? I think that's an amazing reflection topic.
And I feel like the number one thing for people to actually do self-discipline, I feel like one of the other there's so many factors under self-discipline, but I feel like the main factor, the main number one factor in understanding self-discipline is understanding the choices you made led you up to this point, and the choices you can make from here on later. Like, you could change your future later. You got to understand, because like people love placing your own faults on someone else, and they had nothing to do with it. At the end of the day, you have your own mindset to control of what situations you want to be in, that you don't want to be in, or you have the power of choice. That's what God gave us, the power of choice. No, like I was looking at the Steve Harvey podcast, and he was saying a bear can't learn how to swim like an alligator. A bear can't learn how to talk like an otter. A lion can't eat grass. A lion is going to die if he eats grass. He needs meat to survive. For us, we can choose whether we want to eat meat, whether we want to eat vegetables and still live. We can choose whatever environment we want to live in, and we have the power to control a lot of those things. And people just got to understand that the decisions, what led you up to where you're at, was the choices that you solely made yourself. And I can be a clear example of that, because before I really like started working, right? Before I really started working, I had no job at the time. I was fresh out of high school. I think I was going to college. I barely had money for bus fare. I was late to class almost every goddamn time. And I was doing semi poorly. I guess you can't say semi poorly. I was doing like about average in college. And this one opportunity over for me, my cousin just wildly gave this openly gave me this opportunity. He was like, "Yo, bro, I have a job. Do you want to take it?" I took that choice. That's why I'm at the job that I'm at now, because I made that choice. Because I made that choice to work where I'm working at, it led me up to be able to have the money to want to do a podcast, to get the equipment. It led me to be able to do all these things because I took that choice, that chance. I took that choice to make that. Oh, damn it. My brain is going 100 miles per hour. Well, I went by the 3 C's. I'm just going to put it in that way. I went by the 3 C's. The choice, to make a chance, to do a change, to make a change. So I went by those 3 C's, and that's what led me up to this exact point and why we're talking on this phone.
And that's such an elite, thinking process, bro. Once again, those 3 C's. And it's like, I'm sitting here listening, and I love the perspective of self-discipline is all about the choices that you make, bro. Because it's like it's a great paradox, because as human beings, we have the choices to get better, to progress, to do anything we want to do in this life. Truthfully, like I really am such a firm believer. Anything an individual sees in his imagination, he can do in this world. And I fully believe that, full-heartedly. And I always will. So, because I've seen it happen for me, and obviously it's happened for you. So it's like, um, the great paradox is we can also make choices to get worse, be around the wrong people, be in the wrong places. And it's like, sometimes do that unconsciously, sometimes not think that it's a bad choice, even though it is. And then it goes back to what we were talking about. You can make bad choices and know that it's a bad choice and still do it. That's what's crazy to me, is that people still do that. But it's all about that level of, emotional intelligence and self-control. Because if you take the right choices, if you make the right choices and make the right decisions, depending on what your goals are, right? That's how I would, determine what is a quote unquote right choice. Is this like, all right, what's your motive in this situation, and what is, your actual goal that you're working towards specifically? All right, bet these are the choices that you need to make to get there. And it's like, by the time you're there, now you have freedom, which allows you to have more choices. That's what freedom is
Mm.
having more choices. Because it's like, let's think about it, at least in the terms of, being an entrepreneur. Um, because it's like, all right, at this point in my life, right, I don't have the freedom of choice to go decide what, investment property I want to put $1 million in. I don't have the freedom of that choice. However, if I continue making the correct choices, and that being, correctly making the choices of, building Believe Your Power, helping individuals change their lives, um, making the right decisions on the charts, based off the choice that I have, doing that for the next 9 months, then I will have my, choice of where to put $1 million in X, Y, and Z. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, making the correct choices in your journey lead to the freedom of having more choices, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir. That makes 1,000 per. That is 1,000,000%. I completely, I completely agree with that, because the self-disciplined person are 9 times out of 10 going to reach to that level of enlightenment. The one that's non-disciplined are the ones that's going to live a very, very poor lifestyle. Not poor lifestyle, a very unfulfilling lifestyle. The ones
Yes.
who are unself-disciplined. So I feel like self-discipline is one of the main keys of success. And it's like I said, there's so many factors I can really go into being having that self-discipline, because it also comes with perseverance. Being self being you self-encourage yourself to continue believing that regardless of what I'm
And
going through, I can still make it through it.
yes, and even once again, even with perseverance or persistence, you are choosing to do that. You are making that
Yeah, choice.
choice. So that's what I'm saying, man. Like,
And
it's
that comes with
choices have everything to
self-discipline.
do with it.
And,
Hmm.
and, and it's so, and that's that self-discipline to make that right choice. Self-discipline to
One
know
thousand percent.
that this is the right choice. This is what I need to do. And it also comes with self-discipline, understanding that I can and I will and I must scenario. I can get it because I can obtain it because I have the ability to do it. I
Hmm.
must, I can, well, I will because this is my destiny to do it. I must because I have people relying on me. And when you understand those
And
concepts, it will also build a form of self-discipline.
sheesh. And I love. I'll tap in on that. You know, but before we wrap it up here soon, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I must is so powerful. And not because it's the I must, but because of the reasoning that you gave behind it. I must because, right, I have people relying on me. I'll say this to everyone that's listening out there right now. You
Mm-hmm.
have people relying on you that you don't even know are relying on you. And you have
Oh my
and,
God.
and some of those people, some of the people relying on you don't even know that they're relying on you. Think about that. Because it's like, all right, for example, for the vision that I have of Believe Your Power, seeing it hit 1 million people. Yes, it's at 300 right now. Some people will call it unrealistic. I don't care. It's my vision. It's what I'm working towards every single day. And I know if I continue to be consistently disciplined, I'll get it. It's just that simple. So it's like, I have people relying on me that I don't even know, and they don't even know who I am in this current moment. But it's like, if I don't stay consistently disciplined and build it to build BYP to what it can be, those people will never get the opportunity to, you know, experience the instant profit system, change their life with a TPA, meet countless amounts of people doing the same thing, and build relationships through that platform. Nobody, like, other individuals don't get that opportunity if we don't put in that work to make it happen. So there's individuals that I don't even know that are relying on me. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that to sound self-centered. It's for everybody that has a dream. It's for everybody that's working towards something. There are literally individuals that you may not even know, but they are in fact relying on you to go out there and make it happen. So think about that next time you don't want to be disciplined.
That's big fact. So with that being said, family, I mean, we can knitting grit questions. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, I was about to let me forget. So I'm only going to ask you two questions, because the third question, I feel like we already kind of like briefly just went over it throughout the course of the podcast. I know it will probably take some brainstorming a little bit, but I'm just going to ask you two questions in this podcast. Well, before we wrap everything up, what are some gems that, all right, so what are some gems that definitely touch you to a deep level of this conversation?
You said throughout this conversation?
Yeah, some deep gems.
Bro, I mean, the fact that we came to the conclusion that self-discipline is really all about choice, and that making the correct choices lead to having the freedom to have more choices, like that's a gem in itself. I also think the concept of never giving up, right? Because for both me and you, like you said, we were both, you were down in the dirt at one point, I was down in the dirt at one point. The fact that we prevailed and chose, and had the discipline to continue to persist to get where we are today, it's everything. Like persistence is truly, one of the biggest keys to success. It just is what it is. As well as the fact that we like just what we said, someone is literally relying on you right now to go make your dreams happen, so that they can have whatever you're building, right? And it, once again, it doesn't have to be a business, it doesn't have to be anything to do with trading. If you are wanting to be a realtor, right? And I said that earlier, and really it's probably, I had a conversation with my real estate mentor this morning, so that's probably why my mind's on real estate. But it's like, if you want to be a realtor, there's people relying on you to help, put that together of the seller, put the buyers and the sellers together on a house, right? It may not be that big of a concept, but it's like, there's still people relying on you for you to become a realtor so that they can have help with that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, self-discipline really is everything, man.
All right, real talk. And I just want to put my little touch up on that, yo. Little touch up on that. And to kind of like follow on what you were saying, that having people relying on you, success isn't just about helping your family and helping yourself, but it's also being able to be that vision that someone wants, like to able to open that door for someone else, and to be able to help them to prevail in their situation when they see you, and it was like, yeah, this person grew up the same way I grew up, or this person grew up in the same area I grew up, and this person dealt with the same situations that I've dealt with. Now, you being that role model to that person is helping someone else, right? So the success, oh yeah, of course, success is not only for yourself and for your family, but also to have what's the word I want to say? You in service of others. Success is also service of others too. And
1000%.
Question number 2. What are some personal affirmations you tell yourself that others can use to improve themselves?
I mean, for me, first I'll say this is that affirmations truly depend on, what you want to attract into your life, right? So For me, for example, I continue to say every single day, I'm so happy and grateful now that Believe Your Power has touched 1 million lives, or really has impacted 1 million lives, excuse me. I say that every single day. Um, you know, like I'm trying to think of what else. Like, I would say basic affirmations that I was, and thank you for this question, brother. With reflection,
Mm-hmm.
I can remember now what I was saying, up until this point is it's like some of the affirmations that I've said in my journey. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have impacted my family with generational wealth. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a multimillionaire Dow Jones investor. If you're doing anything else, just put whatever you're doing behind it. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a master of my emotions. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm blessed, abundant, and wealthy. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm focused, disciplined, and consistent. I'm so happy and grateful now that every single desire that I have has been attained. This one may be the most important. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am working towards my goals and the universe is in cooperation to help me in order to get what I want.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. That's deep, man. Because I was listening, I was like, whoa. It put me in pause for a second. Like my brain was trying to process it. And I was like, yo,
And
that's definitely.
and I'll even I appreciate that, bro. And I'll even say this: one of the best books that I've ever read on the topic of affirmations is called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Absolutely incredible book. Because as human beings, we get down in the dirt sometimes. We affirm negative things in our head, but it's like this book really showed me, and I read it very early in my process. It really showed me how to always think, and of course not, quote unquote always, but how to think positive and negative situations and the actual words, how to structure affirmations, like just a phenomenal book overall. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself.
That's also slipping in. I'm gonna slip this in there too. Also, read The Magic of Thinking Big, because that also can help you to generate a positive mindset, a positive way of looking at life, and throughout like situations that you may be going through, it can help you to generate that higher vibration, that higher love, that higher satisfaction for the whole process that you're going through, and just understanding that everything happens for a reason, and this is your story, and your story is what builds you in the future. So,
yes.
Last question. Would you like to be back on this podcast?
1000%, King. I've had a blast, right? This is actually my very first podcast, and I really can't wait to see, where Common Sense is able to go, right? How it's able to grow. The guests, like I'm super excited to hear from other guests, on this podcast, because I felt like you've done, an amazing job, brother, at putting this together for real. So 1000%, I would love to be back on here anytime, bro.
I'm gonna let you know this ain't gonna be your last time, because you will be back on here again.
Ready for it.
So anyways, this is my closing. King Andrew, you're gonna hear this for yourself. This is my closing. I always say in every podcast, bro. Faith plus great work ethic creates vulnerable opportunity. Let me repeat that. Faith plus great work ethic creates vulnerable opportunity, people. My kings and queens, whoever tapped in this podcast, I hope you guys enjoyed the gems that was being passed back and forth, the information that was just phenomenal. I mean, bro, the what you were saying was top notch, bro. And then just both of us sharing our personal experiences and how we feel about self-discipline and so many other topics within that. Bro, it was definitely a pleasure, for you to really be on this podcast, bro. And I really, really want to tell you how much I truly appreciate it.
Appreciate you, King. I really do. I appreciate the opportunity as well.
All right, people. Catch you guys later in the next episode on Common Sense. See ya.